Today we are going to talk about the strategy of our lives. Okay, life strategy. And this you can also think about this as a discussion around the purpose of life. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, cool. Okay, so how can we live a easier life so that we get to do whatever we want? Okay, whatever we like to do and be successful at it, right? That is called life strategy. Okay, strategy means it's a term used by leaders to make things easy for the success of their initiatives. Okay, our big initiative is our life, right? So what is the long-term plan? What are the things that we can do as the strategy of our lives, so living our life becomes easy and we live our lives with strength, with confidence, and with success. Okay, so that is the purpose of today's discussion, guys. Okay, all right. So according to our teacher, our guru, Sri Vedatri Maharishi, when the way we live our life, it conflicts with the natural rhythm, then living becomes difficult. Living is not so easy. Okay. Examples. For example, we all know it is a natural law that when we eat healthy, we live healthy, right? Our body is healthy. But when we eat junk food, it is going to damage our health, right? That is that example at the basic level. And we all know other examples, like when you hurt somebody, when you are angry at somebody, when you insult somebody, what goes around comes around, right? It comes back to us, right? So we this is what he means when he says, our teacher, when he says, when the way we live our life, it conflicts with the natural laws, then life becomes challenging, becomes difficult. Okay, what when this happens? Okay, when life when we don't know how to live life, when the way we live life is wayward, is according to our whims and fancies, then there is a naturally occurring happiness in life, right? A naturally occurring happiness is you get to be with your family and you get to eat your food, get pleasure, and then go do whatever it is that you do, work or study, and then get some progress and find improvements in life, right? That naturally occurring happiness is prevented, right? Because you get into conflict with someone, now life suddenly becomes miserable, and as a result, you're not able to concentrate on whatever it is that you do as part of your natural life, right? When you get sick, for example, right, you cannot eat all kinds of foods that you typically eat, right? You cannot do all kinds of things that you typically do, right? So that's what I mean, that's what our teacher means by your naturally occurring happiness, going out and playing or doing whatever it is, right? It is prevented when suffering happens in your life. Okay, so he says wisdom, that is a wise way of living life, is to understand life. What is life? How, what its purpose is? What is the purpose of our life? And and then with that understanding, and with that understanding of the purpose of our life, we live according to that. Okay, we live in alignment with that. Okay, this way of life, okay, with an understanding of where our life is going, what we think is the purpose of our life, and what we think is the natural purpose of our life, when we understand that, then we are living life in a wise way. Okay, at that time, our naturally occurring happiness is not prevented, it stays with us, life is peaceful. In addition, we make progress in life, bringing more and more success and more happiness and satisfaction in our life. Okay, so this is how wisdom is defined, okay, in the theory of yoga. Hope everyone understood this point. If there are any questions, please stop me. All right. So this is wisdom. So if we all know a wise way of life leads us to happiness, then why do we make mistakes? What kind of mistakes do we make, right? We need to understand that, correct? So what our guru says is, generally we live our life thinking we never make any mistakes. We live a perfect life. That is what we all think, okay? A false sense of confidence. So generally we are thinking within our box. Okay, that is, we think within our, whatever we think is right and wrong. We don't care about what others think, right? So that is how we live life. We are not aware of the mistakes that we make. Okay, why does this happen? Because of three reasons. We are we are always under the illusion or attention or influence of our senses. Okay, our senses means we like to eat good tasty food. Okay, we go and buy whatever it is that we like to buy, whether it's a nice piece of burger and fries from McDonald's, or our favorite cereals, or whatever it is, right? And then we like to watch good movies, because to satisfy our senses, right? We go and do that, right? So we seek, because we are used to certain things with our sensory organs, right? We are under the influence of it, influence of our taste, influence of our eyesight, influence of our hearing. We hear certain music, for example, right? So our sensory perceptions addict us to certain things, okay? And we keep repeating that. The second reason is circumstances. Okay, circumstances are, the whatever circumstance we live in, correct? We might have a group of friends that might like to do certain things. Because all our friends do those things, we do the same things, right? It might be, we might happen to be with a group of friends that engage in group study, participate in hackathons, or do a lot of good things. Okay, we'll be under a good influence then. But when we are under the influence of friends that like to play video games for long hours, or do other things that may not align with the expectations of your parents, or your own expectations of what you want to achieve, then your circumstance is influencing you away from your stated goal. Okay, that is circumstantial influence. Okay, and then we are used to certain things, used to repeating certain things. Okay, evening 8 o'clock, we know we have to play video games with our friends. Okay, and we go and do that. Or evening 6 o'clock, we know we have to play with pray with our parents. We go and pray. Okay, it's a good habit. One of them is a good habit, another of them may be a balanced habit, and sometimes you might overdo it, right? And other things, you might have a habit of getting angry when somebody says no to you, right? That is not such a good habit, we all know. Okay, so we are under the influence of what we repeatedly do. It is called our habit, right? So when we keep repeating things because of these three reasons, okay, we either do good things without our knowledge, we also make mistakes without our knowledge. As a result, we keep getting the same good results, the same bad results, because of the combination of things that we do. Okay, so this way of living is called, this state of mind is called our emotional state of mind. Okay, these are called our emotions. Okay, and what happens is, like I said, this keeps giving us the same results. This leads to a repeated cycle of, painful things sometimes in our life. Whenever these painful things happen in our life, challenges happen in our life, we forget about what it is that we want to achieve. Okay, our goals, they go for a toss, right? Our long-term goals, our yearly goals, whatever it is that we have. I want to finish this. I want to have all these things. We forget about all the good things, and we focus on removing this pain from us. Right? We survive. Our survival efforts to come out of it take precedence, take priority. Right? So our time is wasted dealing with this pain. Right? So this is how our life is a mixed bag, right? We lose the plot, okay, in terms of what we really want out of your life, right? if you ask, forgetting about all these things, if you ask yourself what it is that you want to do in your life, we have lofty goals for ourselves, right? We want to achieve the greatest things for ourselves. Everyone will say that, right? But um, that is not possible unless we are able to focus on what it is that we need to do to achieve that, right? But in our life, our emotions take control because of these three reasons. We do other things that doesn't align with our objectives. As a result, we get into challenging circumstances and we focus our efforts on coming out of that rather than achieving our long-term objectives. Okay, this is how we make mistakes. This is how we lose the plot. Okay, any questions, guys? All right, so how do we come out of these mistakes? How do we come out of this emotional state of mind, right? To come out of our emotions, an appropriate practice is needed for our mind, according to Sri Vedantri Maharishi. Okay, so how do you come out of your emotions? When you think about that, an appropriate practice that will lift us out of this emotional state of mind, right? Um, that practice is needed for the mind, because whatever whatever we are doing is because of our mind. Okay, whatever decisions we take is because of our mind. Whatever habits we have, whatever emotions we have, they all play out in our mind, right? So our mind is weak enough right now at the current state to be addicted to those three different categories of emotions, correct? So this to be able to come out of these emotions, okay, we need to first train our mind to not be addicted to those emotions. Okay, that means we have to take our mind from its current state to a different state where it is stronger and confident about what it needs to do, clear about what it needs to do, so it starts going in a new path, right? So this is the practice that we need to do for our mind, right? So um, unless we know this and we train our mind, then we will keep searching for the happiness and success outside, all around us, without fixing the root cause of our problems, the root cause of our weakness. Okay, that is, without fixing our mind, we search for it in vain outside, success in vain outside. Okay, there is a poem for more than that is more than 1300 years old. There are so many nectars within the mind. Those who don't know how to dig for it destroy their destiny and fly over hills and valleys. These are people without knowledge with an impure mind. Okay, so this is people, great teachers have written about the importance of finding strength within the mind from more than thousands of years ago. Okay, so what is this mental practice? Let us think about that. The practice, the practice of yoga, and through that practice, the quality of our mind, then the quality of our life is lifted. Okay, so there are four practices that we talk about in our system that lifts the quality of our life and the quality of our mind. Okay, we already learned the first two practices, the physical exercises. Why is it important? Because when our body is not healthy and strong, then we get into problems with health issues, and we spend our life dealing with it, right? Time and energy dealing with it. So we want to avoid that. So we keep our mind and body healthy by engaging in physical exercises. And then the second thing is Kayakalpa Yoga. We all know that, we learned it. Many of, and then that ensures a long and healthy life, a strong energy level within our body. Okay, so that we have learned, we will not talk about it. The other two things, the third and fourth techniques practices that we need to lift our mind are simplified Kundalini meditation So when we think about our mind, when we think about lifting our mind, it is essentially, mind is nothing but our life energy. Okay. When the life energy operates in the body, the life energy results in a very subtler dispersion of that energy and into a waveform that circulates throughout the body. This subtler energy that we learned in one of our previous classes called biomagnetism, it flows out through the senses and operates as our mind. Okay, so what is mind? If you think about it, mind is an expansion of your own life energy, and this mind keeps flowing through your senses, your sensory organs, thereby addicting or keeping your mind under the influence of your senses, under the influence of your habits, and puts you in circumstances which you also become influenced by. Okay, so um, our meditation is a meditation that we do, that we are going to learn, called simplified Kundalini meditation. What it does is, it takes our mind and puts it back on the life energy, on its origin. Okay, that way, when you do that, when you put the mind back on its origin, where it expands from, it doesn't flow through the senses anymore. When it does not flow through the senses anymore, your mind is lifted out of the emotions. It's starting to be lifted out of the emotions. Okay, so um, that gives the strength of mind to focus on new ways of operating, as a result of which you stop getting into challenges that we talked about. Okay, later on, when you keep engaging in this kind of meditation, our mind acquires such a strength that it is able to focus on the divine energy at the base of it also, and acquires super creativity levels. That is how geniuses are formed. That is how great leaders are formed, with the ability of their minds at super creative levels. Okay, super complex problem solving skills. Okay, so meditation gives you such powers. Okay, and the highest form of meditation that you can do is called meditation on the life energy. It is life energy. Another word for life energy is called Kundalini, and the meditation that we teach in our meditation centers is called simplified Kundalini meditation. Okay, in when this meditation is taught to you, the teacher typically um, first the teacher first teaches you something called the Agna Chakra meditation. Okay, Agna Chakra means it is between the center of your eyebrows. Okay, behind the center of your eyebrows, 1 inch behind, is your pituitary gland, and the teacher magnetizes her hand or his hand and raises the energy from the base of your spine, little bit more energy from the base of the spine through your spine to the center of your eyebrows. Okay, and when he does this, the energy starts throbbing, because the energy has increased in the pituitary gland a little bit more. When this happens, the energy starts throbbing as a pleasant sensation in between your eyebrows, also called as your Agna Chakra. When you engage in this meditation, within 4 days, you will acquire a pleasant sensation that constantly operates within the center of your eyebrows at your Agna Chakra. And as a result, your face acquires a glow, an attractive capacity, and your mind acquires sharpness and the ability to focus on anything at will. Okay, and when you are able to practice this on a day-to-day basis, then your mind stops being so emotional. Okay, you don't get angry as much. You have control over all your habits, and as a result, you can lead a balanced set of activities throughout your day-to-day life, which will align with your goals. Okay, so that is the power of this meditation. Okay, within a week of learning Agna Chakra meditation, you'll be taught something called Shanti Yoga or Mooladhara meditation. Okay, Mooladhara means the place where your genetic center is. Okay, does anyone remember where the genetic center is? Can someone answer my question? Where is your genetic center? Where is your Mooladhara? Same place. Where is it?
Base of the spine.
Excellent, Isha. Thank you for the answer. It is the energy that concentrates, that intensifies at the base of the spine, right? So from there only we raise the energy to your pituitary gland or your Agna chakra, right? So you bring when you keep meditating there, the energy keeps increasing, and when the energy increases for about a week, it becomes a little bit more, and you need to balance it out. You need to bring it back for the benefit of the body, right? So it is like you press the accelerator or gas pedal in your car. The car keeps getting more and more faster and faster, correct? But after a certain speed, you need to apply the brakes so it slows down, correct? Similarly, your teacher will teach you, will initiate you into showing how the energy can be brought back to the base of your spine, and the excess energy from your meditation be used for the benefit of your body, for the health of your body. Okay, and that is Shanti Yoga. Okay, and then within another week, you'll be taught a meditation called Turiya meditation. So above the pituitary gland is a gland called pineal gland. The pineal gland is the seat of your creativity, the seat of your intuition. So when you raise the energy from your Agna chakra to the pineal gland, that energy is activates all your dormant brain cells. You might hear scientists say that we only use a small percentage of our brain cells, of our brain capacity, right? A large amount of our brain capacity is dormant, not used. By increasing the energy in the pineal gland and engaging in Turiya meditation, you will activate a lot of dormant cells, and thereby increasing your problem solving ability, your ability to grasp, your ability to be creative, right? So that is Turiya meditation that you will learn in the third week. When you do this meditation, the mind is not emotional anymore. The mind is able to completely control your three habits: your circumstantial influence, your the influence of your habit, the influence of your sensory organs. All these influences are called our emotions. The mind completely controls it. Complete establishment of control over our emotions. Okay, our mind becomes so strong like that. When this happens, this kind of yoga is called Raja Yoga. Raja means king. Okay, the king of all yogas, right? Because your mind becomes the king of your emotions, controls your emotions, rules over your emotions, right? So when you engage in these meditations, you achieve the sense of practice, the sense of attractiveness, the sense of creativity, problem solving, and the sense of confidence where you're able to control and balance your life out. Okay, so that is how meditation helps you correct your mistakes that we don't even know that we are making. Okay, so this is something you're going to learn, and it is going to help us become more and more successful in life. Okay, the next thing, even though we are lifting our minds, okay, and making it control our emotions, triumph over our emotions, our genetic center has what is called as imprints, or also habits, right? Our old habits die don't die easily. Okay, they die hard, right? So our old habits keep bubbling up, right? Always trying to bring us back down into the emotional mode. So our old habits, according to our teacher, they are stored as 6 negative temperaments within us, within our genetic center, within our genes, right? Within our personality. The negative temperaments are our greed. Sometimes we are greedy. Sometimes we are so angry. We are miserly, or we think upon people as inferior or superior to us. That is vanity. And then we harbor anger within ourselves as vengeance and immoral sexual passion, right? So these 6 kinds of habits might exist within us in different amounts, and we need to transform them. We need to ensure that they never bubble up, right? We need to identify them. We need to clean them out, right? The practice to identify them and clean them out is called introspection. Okay, you're going to be learning the introspection technique, which consists of 5 practices. The 5 practices are analyzing your thoughts and always ensuring that your thoughts are positive and never negative, right? You'll be learning that. And then priorities in life, right? What is it that you want? We should not have conflicting priorities, right? See, the success in life depends on focusing on what not to do rather than focusing on what to do. Okay, remember this, guys. Okay, your success in life depends on focusing on what not to do rather than just what to do. Okay, you need to know what to do, but it is important to know what not to do. Okay, that way you are always doing the right things that will keep you moving faster towards wherever you want to go in your life, right? That is what introspection is going to help you out with particularly the moralization of desires, right? So you list out everything that you want to do, right? And look, when you do this for just 5 minutes, right? When you list out everything that you want to do, that you're desiring, and say, hey, this aligns with what I want to do. This maybe not that's important, not so important. I'm going to prioritize it low, right? This is this is something that is going to land me in trouble, right? Like this, if you weed out things that are going to land you in trouble, right? It is a 5-minute prioritization exercise. If you weed out anything that is going to slow you down in your objectives, then you will be laser focused. Okay, this is called moralization of desires. Okay, we already learned about anger, right? In our foundation class. Anger destroys relationships. When we damage our friendships and connections, with either our friends or our coaches or our teachers or our managers or whoever it is in our life that can do good things to us, that can help us succeed, right? When we damage the relationship, it is primarily because of anger or disrespect, right? So when we can never learn to not get angry, then we preserve our relationships, rather enhance our relationships, because we are always respectful, right? This is a path to success. Okay, so that is neutralization of anger. And then eradication of worries, right? We waste our time, we waste our energy when we keep depressing and stressing over things that we cannot control, right? So we are going to use this technique to understand when whatever depresses us, brings us down from our positive and enthusiastic mode, and we are going to kill that. We are going to eradicate those kind of stressful things in our mind, right? That is called eradication of worries. All these are very simple, easy to follow techniques. It takes 5 to 10 minutes after meditation for you to do, and clean your mind out. So your mind is always energetic, enthusiastic, and positive throughout the day, helping you succeed in your day-to-day activities, right? The fifth thing is a self-realization angle, right? Realizing your own strengths, right? Who am I? It is the fifth technique in introspection that you will learn as well. Okay, so these um, these practices, okay, these practices, they help us uplift our mind. Okay, they uplift our mind from our emotional mood, from the mistakes that we learned about, right? The 3 kinds of mistakes that keep our mind in the cycle of pain and pleasure, right? So it uplifts our mind, it gives us strength and confidence. And when our mind is laser focused with strength and confidence like that, then we will happily, satisfactorily, without any challenges, pursue the passion of our life. We will find out what it is that we really enjoy doing in our life, make it our career, and be successful at it. Okay, this is how the yoga helps you with a strategy for your life strategy, right? That is, makes your life easy to live, right? By making you laser focused, strong, lifting you out of your emotional pit, right? And making you successful in life. Okay, so this is the purpose of life, or life strategy. Any questions, guys? All right, so this is the